Hey there, my friends. Welcome to Math Surgery with Bill MacDonald, the Common Sense Math Doctor. Now, if you are one of those teachers that lets your students read silently, it might be the reason why they get certain answers wrong. Some words that they see look very slightly different than other words that almost look the same. So if your kids are looking but not really seeing, then you need to have them open their mouths so they can hear and actually listen to the words that they're reading, because the question that we're going to look at, there's just a couple letters difference in the words that I call the pieces of the puzzle. Now, it was only a problem about place value, but not even half of the students in the entire state could figure it out, because silence is deadly in a classroom of auditory learners. Ask your kids to read loudly in classroom and group settings, and softly when they're working with a partner and taking their test solo. So as in softly, low as in loudly. And if that happens, it'll be because you require it. It's a rule that will receive rewards when they do it, or consequences when they don't. If they refuse to open their mouth and become auditory learners, you've got to do something kinesthetic and require that, so that if they're not going to follow one suggestion, one type of surgery prescription, they can do the other one and still be able to get the question correct. So the number we're going to look at has a whole number followed by a decimal, what we commonly know as the word and then it's got a number in the tenths place and the hundredths place. Now, watch me. If this is the decimal, what happens is many kids don't even remember that it's there if they're looking at a whole number that doesn't require any decimals, tenths, hundredths, or cents. So if this is the decimal, watch, ones, tens, hundreds, decimal, ones, tenths, hundredths. Because those two sound so similar, unless you force them to either say them so they can hear the difference or write something so they can see the difference, we're still going to have more than half the kids in your state in a state of confusion, not a state of comprehension and understanding when it comes to place value. Let's take a look at the problem. This is going to be whatever the next one is, number 20 out of 23. It came from a Texas test, and it looked like number 24 from the fourth grade test. But since it was readiness, that means in our state that they should have already been ready to handle this kind of a problem by the time they got to fourth grade. So it was first introduced in third grade, and it's just the idea of place value that includes whole numbers, and decimals followed by tenths and hundreds. Now, there's my rules for doing math where it does say solo. Either read it softly or loudly. And if you're not, you see that the this guy has fingers, the brain has fingers, and the pencil has fingers. Make them do something kinesthetic. So as we underline the keywords in the question and look for and label the key numbers and words in the problem, we will evaluate rules, acronym, make some sort of a plan that will work. We'll execute, not exa ugly, our strategies. We'll eliminate any extra information that could distract us, eliminate and explain the wrong answers, search for the correct answer. Select the correct answer once you've done what we're going to do called guess and check. Search for any errors that we might have made. And if you're on a paper test this year, your Scantron will have A, B, C, D for all odd numbers and F, G, H, J for all even numbers, or you'll get a grid response. Or if it's the computer, you're doing it online, I've been told that it'll be A, B, C, D over and over, whether it's odd or even. So just be prepared. That's the only thing that's different. You can do all of your strategies on paper and just make sure you have your kids show that to you before they turn it in. On practice tests, you can keep them, and I would suggest you make it part of the grade, because writing is not just a problem, math is not just a problem. Math is a process. Problem solving is a process. So let's take a look, and what we'll do, my camera disappeared. Hopefully I'll still there. Let me see if I can come back out and come back in. Pardon me for a second. Okay, I'm back. I don't know how you'll do without being able to see me, but at least you can still see the problem, and we'll try our best to help you understand how to break it down. So if you look closely, the problem portion, the part with the periods, has three important pieces of what I'm going to call a puzzle. And they're only part of the puzzle, but they're all part of the same puzzle. So as we read each little bullet, we probably need to say it, as I mentioned, the part that's underlined there. And we'll also make it visual by drawing it out with our hands. So the digit in the hundredths place is an 8. So it's decimal, decimal, and 8, not in the tenths, but in the hundredths place. The digit in the thousands place is a 3. So we have ones, tens, hundreds, and there's the comma for slowing the number down, and there's the 3 in the thousands place. I almost said it wrong. And then the digit in the tenths place, so we have ones, tenths, is a 0. So as we check, I'm going to suggest that one way you could do this is with graph paper, where you could have the kids write down all their place values from, for sure, that's the thousands place all the way to the hundredths, and sometimes you need a little bit more. But what I want to show you is you could turn regular lined paper, instead of this way, you could turn lined paper that way so that the lines are all down, and you could make sure that the last two to the right have a decimal. But the way I'm going to do it for those of you today is using my advanced mathematics chart so that we can do what I call guessing and checking. So let's take it one at a time. There's 30. So what I've done first, just so you can see, up there on the top, above the letter choice, where we're going to guess and check F, G, H, and J, I put the 3 where they told me it's going to need to be. And on the 10th place, I placed the 0 because of the third bullet, and the 8 in the 100th place, the first bullet. Okay, so as we check these one by one, F says 32,175 and 800ths. So there's I wrote the wrong number, so I've got to fix that. I wrote 37,000. So let me fix that because we don't want to make a simple mistake. So whether it was a 7 or a 2, it still doesn't match the number that needs to be in the thousands place, but we'll keep going. 175. We flip over to the decimals and percents, and 8. So you read the number and then you read its value where it stops at. 800ths. That second and third digit are correct, but because the first one is wrong, we're going to eliminate letter F. What does G say? 3,820. Well, unfortunately, we need a number in the decimal place. I can already eliminate this because I do see a 3, I see an 8, and I do see a 0. So if your kids don't pay attention to hundredths, there's an 8 in the hundredths. The thousands, there's the 3. Tens place, there's a 0. Nope, there's a 2 in the tens place. So your kids would probably pick this answer if it said there's the digit in the tenths place is a 2. So we're going to eliminate that, but let's see what it looks like. 3,820, the 3 is correct. It matches up top. And nothing else, which means 0 tenths, 0 hundredths. So it'd be sort of like 3,820 and 0 cents, or just $820 and nothing else, or 0 tenths or 0 hundredths. So we're going to eliminate F and G so far. Let's try H. 3,424 and 80 hundredths. 3,000, did I mark? Oh, 424. So the 3 is correct. 3,000, you say the comma position. 424 to the decimal percent side, and it said 80 hundredths. Well, unfortunately, the 8 and the 0 are correct, but they're in the wrong positions. It was supposed to be 8 hundredths, not 80. So those two numbers are reversed. So we would place 2 X's there, eliminate H on our mathematics chart. That means that the only one that's left is J. So it's going to be correct in all 3 pieces of the puzzle that are added. 3,123 and 8 hundredths. There's your 3,123, 3, comma, there on top, check 123, and 8, the number, and hundreds, what we'll call the address. Like if I live in 635 Ellis, you wouldn't say 635, you would say 635 if you're going to do math correctly. You would say the number, then you would say the street. I live on 100th Street. So that's how it would look. It could also be 8 cents if you're talking about money, or 8% of the next whole number, 8% of the next whole number, if you're trying to make sure they understand the different ways that you could see and say a number. So the only answer that has the 3 puzzle pieces added correctly would be J, the 8, and you double check. The 8 is in the hundreds place. That's check. That's true. A 3 in the thousands place, and a 0 in the tens place. All 3 pieces of the puzzle are true. So hopefully by doing one or more of these verbal strategies or kinesthetic strategies, or using graph paper, lined paper, or the advanced mathematics chart, your students would have a lot less trouble with place value that requires whole numbers and decimals. So hopefully this video came out okay. Even though my camera disappeared on me for a bit there. You guys have a wonderful day. Please share or tag your other math teacher friends if their kids are struggling with place value that contains whole numbers and decimals.